The sound of horse carriage wheels clattering on the deserted road belonged to none other than Lord Victor Wang. In this entire district, no one was unaware of his family. Lord Wang's family lineage traced back to his father, who was Chinese. But since his grandfather's time, they had been living and establishing themselves in this area for a very long time. As such, people regarded him as a true Vietnamese man. To speak frankly, Lord Victor Wang was someone whose mere name instilled extreme fear in others. His arrogant character, viewing the common folk as worthless, partly stemmed from the fact that his family was the wealthiest landowner in the region. People whispered that his family's wealth required 3 horse-drawn carriages, traveling non-stop for 3 days and 3 nights, just to move a quarter of it. That was not an exaggeration, since the wealth inherited from his ancestors was immense. Hundreds of acres of rice fields, granaries full of grain, hundreds of fat cattle herds, and gold, silver, and treasures were stored in underground vaults because the main storerooms were already filled to capacity. Lord Wang had 4 wives. 3 of them bore him sons. All 3 became officials in the French colonial administration, with the eldest serving as an assistant to the Governor General of Indochina, a position of great power and prestige. From then on, whenever anyone mentioned members of the Wang family, led by Lord Victor himself, they did so with fear and trembling. Living in excess and relying on the power of his sons, everyone in this district had to be cautious around him. Even the prosecutors working for the government had to approach him with deference and pleading. No one dared speak arrogantly in front of him, let alone the voiceless and powerless common people. Lord Wang viewed poor folks as ants. He could kill or spare them at will. In the Dragon Year of 1928, a massive famine broke out in the region. A drought hit early in the year, followed by devastating floods in June. Then came the locust plague that destroyed what remained of the crops, driving the province's people into even deeper despair. But of course, that despair only applied to the peasant class. For wealthy families like Lord Wang's, life continued in comfort and indulgence. Lavish meals, 4 times a day, with leftovers thrown to the dogs. That is why, among the poorest, struggling just to survive day by day, there was no shortage of scenes where people carried their children to the rich households to trade them for a few handfuls of rice and grain to temporarily survive the hardship. One such family was that of Mr. Samuel Thiem. But misfortune struck. This year, the wealthy families in the village had stopped buying children, so they were approaching the memorial ceremony for the old lady, Samuel's mother, and didn't even have a handful of rice to cook offering meals. Seeing this, Mr. Samuel Thiem's heart couldn't help but feel bitter. Back to that day, the horse-drawn carriage carrying Lord Wang rolled toward the dying yard. Sitting inside chewing betel, Lord Wang raised his voice and asked in a haughty tone, "Where are we?" The coachman quickly and respectfully replied, "Sir, this is the dying yard area." Lord Wang hummed in acknowledgement, then lifted his fan and gently moved aside the curtain by the window to glance out at the rice fields. He suddenly cleared his throat. The coachman quickly pulled the reins, and the white horse snorted and came to a halt. "Sir, is something wrong?" Hearing the question, Lord Wang squinted his tiny eyes and spoke. "Who is that?" As someone from the village, the coachman only needed a glance to answer. "Sir, that's the eldest child of Mr. Samuel Thiem. She's 13 years old. That child and the old lady pick up leftovers from our house." Lord Wang hummed in acknowledgement again, then lowered the curtain and bluntly ordered, "Let's go." The carriage clattered forward again. The sun was getting harsher by the minute. The close-fitting tunic clung tightly to Lord Wang's bulky body, soaked with sweat. By the time the carriage arrived at the mansion, it was already noon and scorching hot. The coachman quickly jumped down, bent his back, and kneeled. "Sir, please dismount." Lord Wang heaved himself out of the carriage. His expensive cloth shoes stepped on the thin back of the kneeling coachman before touching the burning brick yard. Yet the man didn't dare utter a single complaint, as though this had become a routine. Straightening himself and heading into the house, with a black-handled parasol shading him, Lord Wang turned to his servant and said, "Call for the girl who picks up leftovers." After the master entered the house, the servant quickly ran down the side hall. After about 10 deep breaths, a plump woman in her 40s, wearing silver bracelets, came rushing to the upper house. After hearing a few instructions, she quickly bowed and excused herself. About an hour later, Mrs. Mary Thiem, along with her 3 children, was sitting under the front porch when she heard the hurried footsteps of her husband running into the house. Seeing his flustered state, Mary frowned slightly and snapped, "Why are you running like you're being chased?" Samuel bent over, panting heavily, then suddenly exclaimed with joy, "She's sold!" Lord Victor Wang's house is hiring servants, 5 Indochina piastres, and a sack of white rice. There'll be rice to cook for Mom's offering ceremony. In that desperate state of hunger, the idea of selling one's own child was cause for celebration, as if they had struck gold. Mary asked in a strained voice, "What the hell? We sell our child, and they give us the price of a pig? Which one are they buying?" Samuel snapped, "Lily, of course. The other ones are still too young. Daniel is only 5. Mia's still breastfeeding. Who would buy them now?" He pointed at Lily and continued, "That's the one. We don't have another choice. Lord Wang's house still has mercy to buy Lily. It's our blessing. Now we have rice for the offering and money to get through the next few weeks. Besides, not just anyone can work for that family." Sitting beside her younger siblings, Lily listened silently. She understood everything. She gently set her snot-nosed little brother down from her lap, then stood up and said softly, "Father, Mother, please. I don't want to serve at Lord Wang's house. The cowherd boys in the village say that family is cruel." Though her heart ached terribly, Mary forced herself to hold her daughter close and comfort her. "Don't listen to those boys talking nonsense. You'll be fine if you work hard and follow orders. That household is not easy to get into. We're starving, child. If you work there, you'll have food to eat. If you stay here, we'll all die of hunger." Seeing her daughter hesitate, Mary added, "Besides, we can't even cook Grandma's offering rice. How can we face her spirit?" Lily's resistance softened. Mary turned to her husband and asked, "But why would Lord Wang's house want to buy our daughter? There are plenty of other families selling children." Samuel smiled faintly. "Matron Molly recommended her. She's a long-time servant in that house. I heard she's now as high as a housekeeper. Probably remembered our kindness from before and suggested our child. With her help, everything will go smoothly. Lily won't have to suffer so much." Mary asked again, "When do I take her?" Samuel replied, "Right now. They want to see her face. If they approve, she'll be accepted immediately." Lily gave a faint smile that looked more like a grimace. She didn't want to leave home, especially not to serve in a wealthy household. But seeing her family's situation and understanding her parents' pain, the prematurely mature girl no longer objected. When her father asked if she agreed to go right away, Lily nodded and said, "If that's what you say, Father, I'll obey." Hearing that, Mary said nothing. But when she saw her daughter put on her hat and step out the door, she threw herself at Lily, and both mother and daughter sobbed uncontrollably. Samuel, though moved, still hardened his heart and barked, "She's just going to work, not dying. Why cry like this? If she does a good job, the master will let her come home to visit. After the contract's done, she'll be free." But his eyes were already glistening with tears. In the end, he took a deep breath, picked up his daughter on his back, and walked straight toward the main road. Sitting on her father's back, Lily looked back to see her little brother, Daniel, clutching their mother's legs, crying his heart out. Her own tears blurred her vision. The girl never expected that this farewell would be the last time she would see her mother. They passed the dilapidated thatched house nestled beside the lonely riverbank. After about half an hour of walking, a grand house built in the French colonial style appeared before them. It was far larger than anything Samuel had ever imagined. Father and daughter stood frozen in awe, peering inside the massive estate for a long while before daring to speak. A maid named Camille, a woman in her early 30s, neatly dressed with her hair tied high, stepped out. After Samuel explained the reason for their visit, the maid told them to wait as she went in to report. Moments later, matron Molly came out. As an old and trusted house servant, Molly lived in comfort. Linen pants, silk tops, silver bracelets, pearl necklaces. She looked more like a noblewoman than a maid. Upon seeing Samuel and his daughter, Molly asked, "This is the girl?" Samuel nervously rubbed his hands together and replied, "Yes, ma'am. This is her." Molly widened her sharp eyes and scanned Lily up and down with a hint of satisfaction. Then she frowned and asked rudely, in the same overbearing tone as her master, "Not a bad face. How old is she?" "Ma'am, her name is Lily. She's exactly 13. Molly clicked her tongue. 13? She looks more like 18 or 19. Are you sure? From the moment they met, Lily didn't like Molly. But to ease her parents' hearts, she bit her tongue and endured the woman's interrogations in silence. She could only stare back at the path they had just traveled, where their thatched home and her two younger siblings waited. After a while, Molly grabbed Lily's hand and pulled her into the house. "Wait here while I inform the master. If he approves, I'll bring out the payment and the contract for you to sign." Samuel immediately bowed his head. "Yes, ma'am, I will wait." Following Molly into the house, Lily was overwhelmed by what she saw. From birth until now, she had never laid eyes on such luxury. A 20-meter gravel path stretched before her, flanked by 2 rows of neatly trimmed cycads. The red-tiled courtyard was wide and open. On the left side of the mansion stood another wing, where servants came and went. What frightened her most was something she couldn't quite describe. The fence behind the house stretched so far, it seemed to vanish into the horizon. Standing at the edge of the main hall, Molly ordered her, "Stay here. Don't go wandering around and dirty the house." Then she hurried into the inner chamber to fetch Lord Victor Wang. Lily stood on the burning brick floor under the scorching sun, her bare feet already seared by the heat. She didn't dare move. If she displeased Molly, or worse, the master, everything would fall apart. Her family wouldn't have rice for the offering, no money for the upcoming famine. and everyone would starve. After a while, Molly returned, fanning herself, and cheerfully said, "Come on in. The master wants to see you." Lily respectfully replied and stepped onto the hall. Seeing the grand, luxurious interior, she hesitated and didn't dare enter. Molly had to call her twice before she nervously stepped inside. Above the large wooden divan made of dark brown wood, Lord Victor Wang lay reclining, smoking opium. Smoke drifted lazily in the air. Behind him were all the trappings of extreme wealth and indulgence. He was shirtless, his sagging double chin resting like a slab of fat above his chest. His beard was meticulously trimmed. His eyes were drowsy, clouded by the effects of the drug. A long-handled fan rested in his hand. A maid stood beside him, constantly fanning to keep him cool, though his entire body was drenched in sweat. 4 rolls of belly fat drooped over his waistband, and a tuft of black hair protruded from his navel, trailing down to his pants. Lily dared not look straight at him. "You've arrived," Lord Wang said. "Yes, sir," Lily answered timidly. He let out a slow, wheezing laugh, then turned his small, sharp eyes on Lily, scanning her from head to toe like inspecting livestock. That look made Lily extremely uncomfortable. Her forced smile turned stiff and unnatural. He asked, "Still a virgin or not?" Molly jumped in, eagerly answering, "Sir, this girl is the daughter of my old neighbor. I've known her family since before she was born. 13 this year. She's hardworking, obedient, and has a pretty face. If the master wants to know whether she's still pure or not, you'll have to examine her yourself." Lord Wang narrowed his eyes, raised one hand, and gestured for Lily to come closer. Seeing this, Lily stood frozen and looked helplessly at Molly. Molly barked, "What are you waiting for? Come to the master." Lily trembled and approached the bed slowly, not daring to raise her head. When she got close, suddenly, Lord Wang reached out and grabbed one of her breasts, squeezing it hard. Lily jumped back instinctively, crying out in pain. "Stand still," Molly snapped. "He needs to inspect what he's buying." Her entire body shaking from fear and humiliation, Lily remained frozen, tears welling up in her eyes. Meanwhile, Lord Wang examined his palm, flexing his fat fingers with a dazed smile. "Still usable," he muttered with a creepy chuckle. "Take her to bathe, then bring her to my room for training. My wives are not home today, so she needs to learn how to behave right away. Understand?" Molly quickly responded, "Yes, sir. Shall I prepare new clothes and scented water?" Lord Wang didn't bother to answer. Clearly, this was routine. He tossed a pouch of silver coins down. "Give her father 10 piastres. Take 3 sacks of white rice from the storeroom. Since I'm pleased, give them extra." Molly bowed deeply and understood immediately. She turned to Lily and ordered, "Follow me." Down the long corridor to the warehouse, Molly barked at the servant, "Hey, bring me 3 sacks of white rice." Then she turned to Lily. "Stand here. Don't wander off. If you get lost and the dogs bite you, don't blame me. Lord Wang keeps fierce dogs everywhere." "Yes, ma'am," Lily nodded, her voice trembling. While Molly went out to deliver the money and rice to Lily's father, Lily stood alone, waiting by the side of the warehouse. Samuel Thieme had just managed to slyly pocket 4 extra coins when Molly arrived. She acted generous and said, according to the agreement, it was supposed to be 5 Indochina piastres and 1 sack of white rice. But I put in a good word for you, and the master is very generous. So you get 6 piastres and 3 sacks. She handed him the sale contract and a brush to sign. Samuel knelt, signed his name, and bowed deeply to her like she was a benefactor. My wife and I are eternally grateful. The girl is still naive. Please take care of her. We'll never forget your kindness. Taking the money and rice home, Samuel felt as joyful as if it were the new year. He turned and watched his daughter's frail figure disappear behind the bamboo hedges as Molly sneered quietly to herself. Not only did I take a hefty share, now I look generous too. What a perfect win. Back at the estate, Lily waited until Molly returned. The matron took her straight to the servant quarters, then handed her a set of silk clothes already prepared. "Come, time for a bath." Lily was confused. "Ma'am, I thought I was here to work as a maid. Why must I bathe?" "You silly girl," Molly replied with a mocking laugh. "Serving a rich household is different. You don't just bathe, you wear clean clothes and perfume. The master hates filth. Don't make him lose his temper. Now hurry." Lily said nothing and quietly followed her. When they reached the bathhouse, Lily trembled, covering herself. Molly barked, "Come on, take off your clothes. I'm bathing you." "Please, ma'am, let me bathe myself." Molly laughed cruelly. "Still shy? If you make him unhappy, he'll throw you out. Hurry up, you're wasting my time." Then she yanked off Lily's faded shirt. Lily sat stiffly, while Molly scrubbed her from head to toe, washed her hair, and examined every inch of her pale skin. The matron gasped, almost involuntarily. "For a peasant girl, your skin is so white, so pretty. Even I'm tempted, let alone the master. 13? You could pass for 16 easily." What did you say?" Lily asked. Nothing," Molly said quickly. "Just thinking about the chickens behind the house." Lily went quiet, lost in thought, letting Molly rinse her with cold water. After bathing, Molly dried Lily's body with a soft towel, as if polishing a valuable object. Then she helped her dress, applied scented oil, and said, "Fix your hair. Put this on. The master's waiting to train you." Lily obeyed silently, like a machine. The earlier threat still lingered in her ears. "Displease him, and you're out." She was shown a mirror. For the first time in her life, Lily saw herself clearly. 13 years old, yet more mature than her peers. Despite years under the sun, her skin was white as pomelo blossoms. Her long black hair reached her hips. Her round face had the beauty of a noble girl. Her budding chest and soft pink nipples, her developing body, all shocked her. She felt embarrassed looking at her own reflection. When she finished dressing, she felt like the clothes were tailored just for her, hugging every curve. Molly called from outside. "You done? Come. The master's waiting." Lily replied obediently, completing the final task before her training began. The distance from the servant quarters to the master's bedroom wasn't far. Still, each step Lily took felt heavier than the last. Her heart pounded in her chest like a drum. The soft silk shoes on her feet made no sound, but the echo of fear in her mind was deafening. Molly walked ahead with confident strides, humming a light tune as if nothing were amiss. Occasionally, she turned back and snapped, "Hurry up! The master is not patient." Lily quickened her steps. Her head bowed, eyes fixated on the shiny tiles beneath her. The scent of perfume clung to her body, but to her it smelled like prison bars closing in. When they reached the master's chamber, Molly knocked lightly and said in a sharp voice, "Sir, the girl is ready." A low, hoarse voice came from inside. "Bring her in." Molly turned to Lily and gave her a hard stare. "Behave yourself. Don't anger him. Just do whatever he tells you." Then she pushed the door open, The room was dim. Heavy curtains blocked most of the light. The air was thick with the smell of musk, incense, and opium. Lily stepped inside and felt as if the door behind her had sealed shut forever. Lord Victor Wang lay sprawled on the divan, his large belly rising and falling slowly. He had just finished smoking and was in a dazed state, but upon seeing Lily, he sat up a little straighter. He licked his lips. "Come closer," he commanded. Lily hesitated. "I said, come closer." His voice rose. Trembling, Lily stepped forward. She stood just within reach. Lord Wang reached out, grabbed her wrist, and pulled her down onto the bed. His thick fingers ran across her arm, her shoulder, then slid down her side. Lily's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't dare resist. "Good girl," he murmured. "Don't cry. You'll get used to it." Then he reached for the wine on the table. He poured a small cup of sweet-smelling liquid and handed it to her. "Drink this." She hesitated. "It's just sugar wine. It'll help you sleep well." But Lily had heard of this before. Sugar wine that made girls sleepy, dizzy, and unable to move. She refused. Lord Wang's smile disappeared. "You dare defy me?" he growled. Before she could reply, he seized her chin and forced the cup against her lips. The liquid spilled into her mouth. She choked, coughed, and tried to spit it out, but he slapped her. The room spun. The last thing she saw was the blurry silhouette of his sweaty body hovering over her. Then everything went dark. The morning sun rose slowly, its warm rays slipping through the cracks in the bamboo fence. In the dim light, a rooster crowed. The village stirred from slumber, but within the estate of Lord Victor Wang, Lily had yet to wake. Or rather, she would never wake again. When the head maid Molly entered the room to check, she found Lily lying motionless on the bed. Her body was cold. Her lips were stained with blood. Her eyes were wide open, staring blankly at the ceiling. Molly dropped the tray in her hands with a loud crash. Sir, something's happened," she shrieked. Lord Victor stumbled out of the bathroom, barely clothed. Seeing the lifeless girl on his bed, he froze. What's going on?" "She bit her tongue," Molly cried. "She's dead." Victor's face went white. He rushed to the bed, shook Lily's body, slapped her cheeks, tried to force open her mouth, but it was too late. Her teeth had clenched down hard on her tongue. The blood was everywhere. "She bit off her own tongue," Molly whispered again, trembling. "She killed herself." Lord Wang's hands trembled. For a long moment, no one said anything. Then he growled, "Get rid of the body." Now, no one must know. "But sir—" "Silence," he barked. "Wrap it up. Take it to the hill behind the house. Bury it. If anyone asks, say she ran away." Molly had served the Wang household for years. She knew better than to protest. She quickly summoned 2 servants, bribed them heavily, and under cover of night, the 3 of them wrapped Lily's cold body in a mat and quietly snuck out through the back garden. It was the dead of night. Wind rustled the banana trees. Dogs barked wildly, then suddenly stopped. They reached the hill behind the house, an area filled with graves and ghostly legends. It was said that long ago, the Wang family had secretly buried several maids here, all of whom died under special circumstances. Lily's body was placed into a shallow grave. No incense, no prayers. Just a hurried burial in silence. Molly wiped the sweat from her brow. "It's done." Victor stood at the window, watching the darkness outside. His hand still held the opium pipe, but it trembled. For the first time in years, he felt afraid. He lit incense and mumbled a few half-hearted prayers. Then he called for wine, hoping to forget the image of that blood-soaked bed. But Lily's eyes continued to haunt him. That night, while the whole estate was asleep, the dogs began to howl. One barked furiously at a dark corner of the garden before suddenly whimpering and going silent. In the master's bedroom, Lord Victor Wang tossed and turned in bed. He couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Lily's face. Her eyes wide open, her mouth filled with blood. He sat up, lit the oil lamp, and poured himself another cup of wine. The clock on the wall struck midnight. Suddenly, the flame of the lamp flickered violently. The shadows on the wall danced like living things. The air grew cold. Victor shivered. He looked around and called out, "Molly, bring me my coat." No one answered. He shouted again. Silence. Then, from outside the window, came the soft sound of footsteps. Slow, deliberate, almost like someone walking barefoot on the stone path. Victor held his breath. He stood and approached the window. Carefully, he pulled aside the curtain. At first he saw nothing. Then, a figure appeared just beyond the bamboo hedge. It was a girl, dressed in white, long hair, pale skin. She was standing completely still. Victor's heart stopped. The figure slowly raised its face. Even in the dim moonlight, he could see her clearly. It was Lily. Blood trickled from her mouth. Her eyes stared directly into his soul. Victor screamed and stumbled backward. He tripped over the rug and fell hard onto the wooden floor. He crawled away, shaking, eyes wild. The window banged open with a loud crash. Wind howled into the room. The oil lamp went out. In the darkness, a voice whispered, soft and cold, "I'm still here." The next morning, the entire estate was in a frenzy. Lord Victor Wang had fallen ill. His face was pale, his body drenched in sweat, his limbs trembling uncontrollably. His eyes darted around wildly, as if he were being hunted. The family doctor was summoned. After checking his pulse and examining his tongue, the doctor declared that it was a case of shock and overexertion. But Molly, standing nearby, knew better. She had heard his screams in the night. She had seen the look in his eyes when he whispered, "She came." She stood outside the window. When the doctor left, Molly entered the room and said softly, "Sir, should I send for a priest?" Victor nodded without a word. That afternoon, a Taoist priest was brought from the next village. He was old, with a long gray beard, dressed in a black robe embroidered with talismans. After listening carefully to Molly's account, he asked, "What day and hour was the girl born?" "She was born in the year of the rabbit, under the sign of wood," Molly replied. The priest frowned. "That is a pure and gentle soul. But if such a soul dies with great injustice, it becomes the most dangerous kind of spirit, a Vo Chu Hoan Hon, a masterless ghost of vengeance." Victor shivered. The priest took out 3 copper coins and cast them onto the floor. He stared at them for a long moment, then slowly said, "The girl was murdered. She died with her tongue bitten off, her blood not yet cold. Her soul could not rest. She now haunts this place. Until her wrongs are righted, she will not leave." Molly fell to her knees. "Master, please help us. What should we do?" The priest stood and walked around the room, then said, "Bring me her clothing. Any object she wore when she died, a strand of hair if possible. Burn it with a cleansing incense, and I will perform a ritual to release her soul." Molly hurried away, but when she returned with the bundle of Lily's clothes, the priest's face darkened. "They are soaked with resentment," he muttered. The girl's hatred runs deep. He set up his altar, lit incense, placed talismans, and began chanting. Bells rang. Smoke curled into strange shapes. But then, the incense sticks snapped in half. The flames turned blue. The altar shook. Wind swept through the room, though all the doors were shut. A piercing scream echoed from outside. Victor collapsed. The priest stopped chanting. He turned to Molly and said grimly, "Her spirit refuses to leave. She wants something more. Someone must pay." That night, the mansion of the Wang family was completely dark. No servants dared to light candles. After the priest's failed ritual, everyone was terrified. Whispers spread quickly that the girl had returned, that her spirit was seeking revenge, that the estate was cursed. Lord Victor Wang locked himself in his bedroom. The opium pipe lay cold, the wine untouched. He paced back and forth like a trapped animal. Suddenly, a knock on the door. Software slow. Repeating. He froze. Another knock. He rushed to the door and shouted, "Who's there?" Silence. He slowly opened the door. The hallway was empty, but the air was cold, unnaturally cold. He could see his own breath. Then, a child's laugh echoed down the corridor, high-pitched, mocking. Victor slammed the door shut, shoved a wooden cabinet in front of it, and ran to his bed. But his bed was no longer empty. Lily was lying there, her face pale, her lips purple, her eyes wide open, staring directly at him. Victor let out a blood-curdling scream. He stumbled backward and hit his head on the wall. Blood streamed down his temple. He screamed and screamed until his throat gave out. Servants rushed to his room, but the door wouldn't budge. It took 4 men to push it open. Inside, Lord Wang was curled in a corner, muttering nonsense. "She came back. She's in the bed. She's here." There was no one on the bed, but everyone noticed. The sheets were wet with blood. From that day on, Victor Wang lost his mind. He no longer recognized anyone. He spoke to ghosts. He refused food. His hair turned white. His hands trembled constantly. The estate was in disarray. Servants left. His sons returned from the city to take him away for treatment. But the villagers said it was no use. "Once the dead come back," they said, "no medicine can cure you." As for Lily's grave, the wind howled there every night. Some said they saw a girl in white sitting by the grave, combing her long black hair with a bone comb, waiting, watching. From the day Victor Wang was taken away, the once grand estate quickly fell into ruin. The doors warped. The paint peeled. The courtyard, once trimmed and spotless, became overrun with moss and weeds. Servants refused to stay. Even beggars avoided sleeping near the gates. Locals whispered that they could hear a girl's voice late at night, sometimes singing lullabies, sometimes crying softly by the bamboo fence. And on moonless nights, villagers who walked past swore they saw her, a girl in white, standing silently under the areca trees, her face pale, her hair soaked with blood. One brave soul, an old drunk, once tried to approach. He claimed he called out to the figure, "Hey girl, who are you?" She didn't reply. She just slowly turned around, and her face had no tongue. The man collapsed on the spot. By dawn, he was found dead by the roadside, mouth still open in terror. After that, no one dared to approach the Wang estate again. Years passed. The Wang family, once so powerful and wealthy, disappeared completely. Their lands were sold off. Their sons scattered. Their name was barely remembered. Only Lily's story remained. Some say her spirit still lingers, not out of vengeance anymore, but to protect other innocent girls from falling into the same fate. It is said that if you pass by the old hill behind the estate and hear wind rustling the trees, you must bow your head and whisper, "Little sister, go in peace." Only then will you be allowed to pass, because though the body may rest in the earth, a soul wronged never truly sleeps.